Okay, let's dive into one of the most raw, most psychologically intense moments in all of Shakespeare. We're talking about Juliet's big soliloquy in Act 4, Scene 3 of Romeo and Juliet. And look, this is so much more than just a sad girl. This is basically a masterclass in the anatomy of fear. You have a teenager staring right into the abyss, totally cornered by her world, with just one terrifying choice in front of her. And Shakespeare, man, he just drops us right into her head. Her family's gone, the act is over, and we get to hear what's really going on. This isn't just, butterflies in her stomach. No, this is a deep, bone-chilling terror. She feels it physically, like a cold that almost freezes up the heat of life. The stakes are set sky-high from the very first line.
So, how did she even get to this point? Well, she's just managed to send her mother and even her closest friend, the nurse, out of the room. Think about it. In a world where she has practically zero control over anything, she has engineered this one single moment to be completely, totally alone. And she has to be, because what she's about to do, she has to do it by herself.
So she's holding this little vial, right? It's filled with a super powerful sleeping potion from Friar Lawrence. The plan? Well, it's a massive gamble. She's going to drink it, look dead for 42 hours, get placed in the family tomb, and then, fingers crossed, wake up just as Romeo shows up to whisk her away. This is her only way out of a forced marriage to Paris. It is literally her only hope.
And what's so wild here is how self-aware Juliet is. She totally sees herself as an actor in her own tragedy. She gets the weight of this moment, the crushing isolation, and the terrifying performance she's about to put on. There is nobody there to hold her hand or share this burden. It's all on her.
So before she can even bring that vial to her lips, her mind just starts racing. It's going through every single thing that could possibly go wrong. And what's fascinating is that she doesn't start with ghosts and monsters. Nope, she starts with a very practical, very real fears.
And here's her first, most logical doubt. What if this whole thing is a sham? What if this mixture doesn't work at all? Imagine that. She drinks it, goes to sleep, and just wakes up the next morning to wedding bells. Stuck in a marriage she would literally rather die than go through. It's a completely rational fear, right?
And this right here shows you how incredibly determined she is. Because she has a backup plan. You've got two futures laid out. One is the unbearable marriage to Paris. And the other? Well, that's her grim solution. She puts a dagger right there on the bed, making it crystal clear that she's already decided death is better than this marriage. The potion is her hopeful path, yeah? But that dagger, that's her absolute guarantee. No matter what, she's not marrying Paris.
Okay, so once she's kind of dealt with that first fear, her mind immediately leaps to something much, much darker. Something way more sinister. She starts to question the one adult she thought she could actually trust, Friar Lawrence.
I mean, just think about how terrifying this thought is. What if the friar, to cover his own butt for secretly marrying her and Romeo, just gave her actual poison? A way to solve his problem, permanently. Is this an escape plan or is it an execution? For a second, she genuinely considers this idea of complete and utter betrayal from the person she trusted most.
But, just as quickly as that fear pops into her head, she reasons it away. She's like, no, that can't be right. And why? Because the friar has always been seen as a wholly trustworthy guy. So her faith in his good character lets her push that horrible thought aside. Her logical brain is still in the driver's seat. For now, at least.
And this is where things take a sharp turn. This is where the soliloquy really shows us how fear works. Once you've dealt with the rational doubts, the irrational ones come flooding in. Juliet's imagination just goes completely wild, and she plunges headfirst into these deep, psychological terrors of what happens if the plan only sort of works.
And this is the question that just opens the floodgates of horror. It's not, what if it doesn't work anymore? Now it's, what if it works, but the timing is all wrong? What if she wakes up, not in Romeo's arms, but alone? In the pitch black? Surrounded by dead bodies? Her imagination just creates this total sensory nightmare. It's like the textbook definition of a panic attack. She can practically feel herself suffocating in the stale air. She imagines the loathsome smells of decay. She hears these supernatural shrieks of mandrakes, those plants that were rumored to scream so horribly when you pulled them up that they'd drive you mad. And then, most vividly, she sees the bones of her ancestors and the freshly buried, festering body of her cousin Tybalt. A gruesome reminder of the violence this has all caused.
You can actually chart her predicted spiral into insanity. It's this terrifyingly logical progression of how anxiety just escalates, right? First, waking up alone. That leads to being surrounded by all these horrors, and that, in turn, leads to her going completely mad. And her vision of madness is so specific. She sees herself madly playing with my forefather's joints, and even messing with Tybalt's body. It's a lot.
And this is the absolute peak of her terror. She imagines herself driven so completely insane by the horror of it all that she grabs one of her ancestors' bones and uses it like a club to, well, dash out my desperate brains. I mean, that's the deepest, darkest place her mind could possibly go. But then, just as she hits rock bottom, something pretty incredible happens. Her mind, in the middle of all this panic, conjures up one last image. And this is the image that pulls her back from the edge and gives her the strength she needs to go through with it.
So right at the peak of her fear, she suddenly thinks she sees the ghost of her cousin Tybalt. But he's not there to haunt her. No, he's seeking out Romeo to get revenge. And this vision, as terrifying as it is also a powerful, sudden reminder of why she's doing all this. It's not just about escaping Paris, it's about getting back to Romeo, protecting him, being with him.
And just like that, her focus shifts completely. All those fears, the potion not working, the poison, the tomb, the madness, they all just melt away, and they're replaced by one single all-powerful thought: Romeo. She says his name 3 times, almost like a magic spell. And her fear transforms into an act of pure love. This drink is no longer about escape. It's a toast to him. So in the end, what she does isn't really an act of desperation, is it? It's an act of incredible courage, and it's all fueled by love. She has stared down every single horror her own mind could throw at her, and she still chooses the path that leads back to Romeo. And that's the question Shakespeare leaves us with, isn't it? We see this as an amazing act of love, of courage. But we, the audience, we know the awful, tragic irony. We know the message is never going to get to Romeo. We know this incredibly brave act is just one more step toward their doom. So, is it the ultimate expression of love conquering fear? Or is it a fatal miscalculation by a young girl trapped by a world that gave her no other choice? It's that tension, right there, that makes this moment so powerful and completely unforgettable.